AI never sleeps, and this week has been absolutely insane. We have an AI that can generate full HD videos in real time. This AI can control the blur or focus of the video, allowing you to create super cinematic shots. We have this free and open source video upscaler which sharpens a video and adds more detail. This is incredibly powerful. We have an AI that can generate videos with transparent layers, and it can also do the reverse. It can take an existing video and break it down into transparent layers. We have a new top video generator that even beats Google's VEO3, and the quality of the generations are incredible. Google releases an AI that's really good at predicting cyclones. Plus, OpenAI releases their most intelligent model yet, o3-pro, and a lot more, so let's jump right in. First up, this AI is really useful. It's called SeedVR2, and this is an AI that can restore videos. In other words, you can input a low quality video and it can remove noise or blur or other imperfections. So here are some examples. Let's say on the left we have this input video. Well, after plugging it through this, look how much sharper it is. It just adds a lot more detail and sharpness. Here's another example. So here's the before, here's the after. Here's another example. So here's the before and here's the after. Look how much detail it has added to the scene. Super impressive. Or here's another example. So here's the before, a super blurry scene, but after this, look how much sharper everything is, especially the details of the Eiffel Tower and the stars. This is incredible. Here's another example. Here's the before. The person is super blurry, but after plugging it through this, notice how it makes her way sharper. And then here's yet another example. Here's the before and here's the after. You can even make out the lighthouse and the car after plugging it through this AI, whereas before these were super blurry. And here's another example. Here's the before and here's the after. Again, it just adds a lot more detail to this guy's face. Now, this model can restore videos of up to 1080p resolution in just one step, which is way faster and more efficient than other methods. Here are some examples. You just take a single frame from a really blurry video and you zoom in on this part and this part, which you can see here, and you plug it through different video enhancers like RealVformer or V-Enhancer, Star, and SeedVR version 1. Note that this new one performs way better. Look how sharp and detailed the result is. Same with this one. If you zoom in on this corgi's face, this new SeedVR2 performs way better. Now notice that they've released two different variants. There's a smaller 3 billion parameter variant and a larger 7 billion parameter variant, which is better quality, but it takes longer to generate. So it depends what you're going for. This is a balance between speed and quality. So really quickly, here's the architecture behind it. This uses a regular video diffusion transformer, but this is designed to work in just one step rather than multiple steps like other video models. So this makes it blazing fast. Plus it uses a special attention mechanism which adapts to the video's resolution. So this allows it to take in videos of any aspect ratios and resolution up to 1080p. And the funny thing is, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they wrote that the code may be released upon approval of ByteDance, because this is by ByteDance Seed, but fortunately they actually approved it and released the code. So if you click on this GitHub repo, if you scroll down a bit, this contains all the instructions on how to download and use this locally on your computer. And if you click on this model weights link, it takes you to Hugging Face, where indeed they have released the latest SeedVR models. This is definitely the best free and open source video upscaler you can use right now. So if you're interested, I'll link to this main page in the description below for you to read further. Next up, this AI is also incredibly useful. It's called Any2 Bokeh, and this allows you to add bokeh, or basically a professional blur effect, to any video. So here are some examples. Alright, so let's say you have this video of a goat. Notice that the background is super sharp. If you want to make the goat stand out more, then you can plug it through this AI to blur the background, and here is what you get. It's as if the original video was taken by a pretty lousy mobile phone, whereas here it's taken by a professional camera with a really nice depth of field. Or here's another example. Here's the before and here's the after. Notice that it keeps the horse and the rider sharp, but it blurs out everything in the background, which makes the subject stand out a lot more. So now you don't even need a professional camera to take videos. You can just take it with your mobile phone and then plug it through this AI to make it look way more cinematic and professional. Here's another example. So here's the before, and after plugging through this, here is the after. So notice again that the woman kind of stands out more if you blur the background and the foreground. It looks way more cinematic. And here's another example. Notice that even if the scene is super blurry and high action, we have a dude breakdancing in the middle, it's able to detect only the dude dancing and segment him from the rest of the background, and only blur out the background. This is a very impressive tool. And again, notice how much more cinematic this looks after you blur the background. Now, there's even more you can do with this. So you can actually customize where in this scene should the focus be. So here is the original video, and then after plugging it through this, here we are adjusting the position of the focal plane. So we're like adjusting the focus of the lens. You can see like at first it's focusing from the foreground and then to the subjects and then to the background. This gives you ultimate control over where you want to place the blur. Here's another example. Let's say we have two characters, one in the background, one in the foreground. Well, after plugging it through this AI, as you can see, you can choose where in the scene to focus. So we can first focus on the dude in the foreground and then shift the focus to the woman in the background. Again, this allows for some really versatile cinematic effects. Here's another example. Let's say we have a ton of flowers here. Well, after plugging it through this, you can start by setting the focus to the flowers in the front and then slowly shift the focus to the back. Again, a really cool cinematic effect. Now, in addition to choosing the focal plane or where in the scene to blur, you can also customize the blur strength. So notice that we can make this as blurry or unblurry as we want. Here's another example. Here's the before, here's the after. So notice that we're shifting the blur strength from really blurry to not blurry at all. Here's another example where we can choose to blur the background a lot or not at all. So, this is such a useful tool. I think in the future, we no longer need to carry big, bulky professional cameras. We can just use a lousy mobile phone to take videos and then plug it through this AI to add blur wherever we want. Really quickly, here's how it works. So they use a special type of neural network that works in only one step, which makes it super fast and efficient. And the video is actually converted into these multi-plane frames, which basically helps the AI understand the depth of the scene. And from that, you can break the frame down into, the foreground or the middle or the background, and then choose where you want to apply the blur and also how strong the blur should be. The nice thing is, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they've released a GitHub repo. And if you scroll to the middle, here are the instructions on how to download this and run it locally on your computer. So, any Bokeh and the previous AI I mentioned before, SeedVR2, these are two super useful and free tools for video post-processing. If you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Next up, we have yet another lip sync tool. This time it's by Kuaishou, which is the company behind Kling, one of the best video generators out there. Now, what this does is it can take an input video and any input audio, and it would basically lip sync the video with the audio. So here are some examples.
Hi there, welcome to this video.
Ever notice when lips don't match the words in videos?
That's what we're fixing. OmniSync makes any character's mouth move perfectly with speech.
Whether it's real people, cartoons, or AI characters.
Let's see what OmniSync can do.
Now, in the past, I featured a ton of these avatar animator tools before. For example, recently I just featured Hunyuan Video Avatar, which can take an image plus input audio, and it would generate an animated video from that. But here, this takes it a step further because you're not inputting an image. You can input a video with the character already moving, and it would just lip sync that exact video with the audio. So this gives you even more control, and this also makes deepfakes way more realistic because you're inputting a video of that person already moving. Here are some more examples.
I do stand up all the time. I'm a stand-up comedian, improviser by trade. You had me on one of the most fun experiences of my life as I was on the show in Chicago, and I attempted to eat 2 Italian beef.
Hi, I'm Janet. I'm a girl who likes to try new things and challenge myself. I like to face all kinds of challenges.
Here are some more challenging examples where the mouth or the lips are kind of blocked in the video, but it's still able to maintain the lip sync really well.
君不见黄河之水天上来，奔流到海不复回。
We don't build the lives we want by saving time. We build the lives we want, and then time saves.
我出去转转，司天监的杨千奂杨大师来了，怎么能深藏功与名呢？
And this also works seamlessly with different characters and styles. So here are some examples.
If you were to focus half an hour of study on one field of endeavor for 5 consecutive years, you'd not only transform you, you'd transform the world around you.
I'm a bunny. My name is Nicholas. I live in a hollow tree. In the summer, I like to lie in the sun and watch the birds. And I
北凉有30万边军，所以黎阳那边这么多年从来说北凉30万铁骑雄甲天下。别了怪，北凉骑军在边军中从来就没有超过半。
And if you compare this with other video lip sync tools, notice that this new one, OmniSync, in general performs better. Now, unfortunately for now, they've only released a technical paper. There's no sign if they will release this or not. But if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Next up, this AI is really cool. It's called LayerFlow, and this can generate videos with transparent layers. So here are some examples. So for example, it can generate a transparent foreground, which is this blue swirly energy thing, plus a background layer. So if you merge both of these together, this is what you get. Or here's another example where it can generate this transparent cloud as the foreground layer, plus this balloon in the sky as the background layer. And if you merge both of these together, this is what you get. Or here's another example where we can have this swirly thing as a transparent foreground layer and these mountains as the background. And if you merge both of these together, here's the result. Now, not only that, but it can also do the reverse. In other words, you can also feed it a video and it can separate the video into a transparent layer with the subject and the background layer, as you can see here. Or here's another example where if you input this video on the left, it's able to segment out the woman walking into a transparent layer and the background. Notice that it also fills in the parts of the background that the woman is blocking in the original video. And here's yet another example. So as you can see, this tool can be really useful if you want to extract a certain element from a video into a transparent layer and then add it to another background. Now, here's something else it can do. It can also take an existing foreground or transparent video, such as this bear as the input, and generate the appropriate background for that. So if we merge both of these together, it's a seamless video of this bear walking in the snow. And notice that this background layer also kind of follows the camera movement of the original layer. So everything blends in seamlessly. Here's another cool example where we have this motorbike launch up in the air, and this is all that it has for the input. But from this, it can generate the background, and if you merge both these layers together, here is your final result. Or here's another example where it's only given this transparent layer as the input, but it's able to generate the background from that, which also aligns with the camera movements of the original layer. And if you add both of them together, here is your final result. Now notice the video quality of this is not perfect, but this is one of the very few AI tools that can generate transparent video layers. I've only featured another one on my channel before. So it's still worth a share. Now, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they have released a GitHub repo, and it does say the code is coming soon. So it looks like they are going to open source this, which is fantastic. For now, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Next up, this tool is absolutely incredible. This can generate videos in real time. Plus, it can create videos that are interactive, meaning you can control what happens in the video as it's being generated, kind of like how you control a video game. So here are some examples. Here is a video that's 736 by 416 at 24 frames per second, and this is generated in real time on just one H100 GPU. And this video is a minute long. Here are a few other examples. All these videos are a minute long, and they were generated in real time with just a high-end GPU. So how this works is it just takes a single image as the input. This will be the first frame of the video, and from that, it will start generating the video in real time. And you can control the scene or the movements in the video by prompting it further. For example, you can get the character to do something, or get the camera to move somewhere else, or change the scene with just a prompt. Now, these videos are 24 frames per second, and like I said, the crazy thing is, this can generate videos that are a minute long in real time. If you've been playing around with AI video generation, you'll know how painfully long it is to generate videos, especially videos of this quality. I mean, this is state-of-the-art quality, like Google's VEO3 or Kling 2.1, but those often require you to wait like minutes to generate a few seconds of video. This one can do it in real time, and it can generate this for over a minute, which is an insane leap. Now, if you have multiple GPUs, then you can combine them together and generate HD videos in real time. So for example, these videos are like 1472 by 608 pixels at 24 frames per second. Here are some other examples. So these are like HD high-resolution videos of a minute long that were all generated in real time. How insane is that? Here are some more cool things you can do with it. You can plug in a pose skeleton video, and then you would plug in any photo of a character to use as the starting frame, and it would generate a video of this in real time. So here are just some examples. Pretty soon, we're going to get real-time avatars. You can see how these could be used for like customer support or live streaming or companionship. This model can also be used like a virtual camera. So again, you would give it a starting image as the first frame, but then you can also input camera embeddings, which basically control the movement of the camera in a 3D space. And it would actually apply these movements into the video in real time. So it's like you're in Google Maps Street View, or you're exploring this 3D world, which is generated in real time. You can see how this tech could be potentially useful for like spatial mapping technologies or virtual reality or video games. So here are some more technical details. Here it says their model can generate a single latent frame, which is basically a small chunk of video that consists of 4 frames, and it can generate this with just one pass through the neural network, which in technical terms is called 1NFE. So this makes it blazing fast, much faster than previous methods, which often require multiple passes through the neural network. So this can generate videos that are 24 frames per second in real time, non-stop at 736 x 416 resolution on just a single H100 GPU. Now, if you have 8 of these H100 GPUs, then you can combine them together to generate even higher resolution videos. So here it says this can generate real-time 24 frames per second streaming at 1280 x 720 resolution. This is definitely the future. I think this technology is going to be really widespread in the coming months, where we no longer need to wait like minutes to generate a video of just a few seconds long. Soon we're going to have real-time AI video streaming. Anyways, if you scroll up to the top of the page, for now, it looks like they've only released a technical paper. There's no indication whether they will release the models or the inference code, but it's still really exciting and worth sharing. This is the first good quality real-time video generator we've seen so far. Speaking of software tools, here's a really important one called DeleteMe, the sponsor of this video. Most people don't realize how easily their personal info, like your name, address, phone number, and even family connections can be bought and sold online by data brokers. They basically collect your details from public records and social media and then sell your info to advertisers, scammers, and basically whoever's willing to pay. It's pretty creepy. Well, DeleteMe helps you fight back. It's a simple, effective way to remove your personal info from these shady databases. DeleteMe scans these sites, finds your data, and gets it taken down. And they keep doing this regularly to make sure it doesn't come back. Check this out. This is my dashboard, and after a scan, they found my info on 125 listings and had it removed. Plus, they gave me a really comprehensive report on all the data brokers that they scanned. If you care about your online privacy, give DeleteMe a try. Use the link in the description below and enter my code AISearch at checkout for 20% off. Thanks again to DeleteMe for sponsoring this video. Now, in addition to this tool, ByteDance also released another absolute banger, This is called Seedance 1.0, and this is their flagship video generator. Heck, if you look at this independent leaderboard by Artificial Analysis, and this is where users can blind test all the video generators out there in both text to video and image to video, note that Seedance is at number 1. It even beats Google's VEO3 by a huge margin. Right now, it's like 51 ELO points above VEO3. And same with image to video. This is even more impressive. This beats Google's VEO3 by over 100 ELO points. So this is insanely good quality. Here are some examples. Here's the video, the prompt is below, and notice that this also supports multi-shot generation. So in your prompt, you can specify different scenes. So notice that it's like hard cutting in the middle of this clip. But both these scenes are very cohesive. The style and the character and the background are kept consistent throughout the scenes. And unlike VEO3, which can only generate horizontal videos, this can generate videos of any aspect ratio. So here is a vertical example. The prompt is race cars roar past a track in front of the pyramids, etc., etc. And again, notice that it's cutting from scene to scene. So you can specify multiple scenes within one generation. It can also do image to video. So here's an example where we input an image to use as the start frame, and then the prompt is on the street. The camera follows a group of people riding horses as they walk forward. And again, notice how realistic and consistent everything is. We no longer have any like deformed faces or extra arms and limbs. Everything just looks really good quality in this video. Here's another really impressive example, which is higher action. Notice that this actually looks like a dude skiing, unlike previous video generators, which often get the physics wrong. Here's another example. Look how realistic this is. I mean, if I just saw this on social media or something, I would not suspect that this was AI generated. Like, everything looks flawless. Alright, so if you look at the prompt below, here's an example of where we can specify multiple scenes in the shot. So first we have a low angle tracking shot of the fox running through the forest, and then the fox stops, alertly perking up its ears, and then we cut to another scene of it spotting danger, and then it turns and flees with the camera chasing after the fox. Notice first of all, how detailed and realistic this generation is. And it follows the prompt exactly, including the fox's movements and expressions and the camera movements. Everything is just flawless. Here's another example where we have a detective entering a room and he examines clues on the table, and then the camera turns to him, capturing a thoughtful expression. And that is indeed what we get. Notice that the dude looks the same in between these two scenes. Here, the prompt has 3 scenes. So first, the camera shows a distant view of this traveler, and then switches to a medium side shot of her, and then finally focuses on her determined gaze. And notice again, for all 3 scenes, the character looks exactly the same. This is able to preserve the consistency of the character and style of the overall scene. Here's yet another example of a multi-scene generation. I mean, everything just looks so flawless and detailed. Notice the reflections on the mirror also look super realistic. I mean, this video generator is just a beast. This can also generate videos of various different styles. So here we have low polygon style, and it pulls this off really nicely. Or here we have a vibrant illustration of this blue macaw, and again, the scene is depicted really well. Here is a pixelated New York Manhattan, or here we have a retro futuristic style generation. It's also really good at portraying expressions. So here the prompt is a young man, and we are slowly zooming up to his face. His eyes barely blinking intensify the sense of loneliness, and indeed he looks pretty lonely in this scene. He's probably wondering, when will his AI girlfriend arrive? Here's another really challenging example where we have a portrait of a model wearing a headpiece made of chocolate shards and dried flowers. But it's able to pull this off really nicely. And oh my god, look at this cheese fondue. This makes me so hungry right now, but as you can see, it follows the prompt exactly. So for your information, here are some other performance metrics. So this is a chart that spans multiple categories, including prompt adherence, motion quality, and aesthetics. And as you can see, Seedance, which is the area in blue, has the highest area compared to the other models. So for example, VEO3 is the area in green, and Kling 2.1 is the area in pink. Same with image to video. So across all these categories, note that Seedance overall scores the highest. It has the highest area compared with the other models. models. Now note that they have not released this model yet, so if I log into Dreamina real quick, which I'll link to in the description below, they do offer a video generator, so let's click on generate, and over here notice that they've only released Seedance 1.0 Mini, which is a distilled version that isn't as good as the full version. So I've tested a few generations with the Seedance 1.0 Mini, and the quality definitely is not as good as VEO3. Here are some generations for your reference. So here we have a first-person view drone video through a Thai temple, start from outside and fly inside. It was able to generate this really well. Here we have a tracking shot of a skateboarder skating through a crowded urban market, and this is a skateboarder in a crowded market, but it's not a tracking shot. So it seems like this mini version isn't really able to understand camera movements. And then here we have live gameplay of Grand Theft Auto. This actually looks pretty good. Here we have an anime scene of a bustling marketplace in a foreign city with colorful stalls and lively characters. Now this doesn't really look like anime, this is just like a regular 2D cartoon, so it doesn't seem to be able to generate anime very well. Here is my classic prompt, a princess in a glittery white dress running away from a massive dragon with glowing red eyes. She doesn't seem to be running away from the dragon. So anyways, that's just a really quick preview of Seedance 1.0 Mini, but the quality isn't really that good, so that's why I didn't really do a full review video on it. I'm still waiting for the full version to come out so I can do a full review video on that. My ByteDance connection says that it is coming soon, whatever that means, so stay tuned for that. For now, if you're interested in checking out more examples on this release page, I'll link to it in the description below. Next up, this AI is also pretty interesting. It's called PlayerOne Egocentric World Simulator, and this can generate super realistic videos that are from a person's perspective. It's like you are the viewer. Here's how it works. So it takes a single image as the start frame of the video, but then it also takes a person's movements as input. So you'll need another camera to basically film yourself moving, and this data will be plugged into the AI to generate a first-person video that incorporates your movements. If you move as if you're slashing this imaginary sword, it actually does that in the video. Or if you actually turn to the left, it also does that in the video. Here are some more examples. If you try to pick up an item, the hand in the video actually attempts to pick up an item in the video. Or if you extend your hand forward, your AI girlfriend actually looks backwards and gives you her hand. Or here's another example, if you walk forward, then the camera also moves forward in this video. Or you can also give this dude in a video a high five like this. Here's another cool example. So we start with the same input image, but the person will do different actions. And let's see how it affects the output video. Very nice. So you can high five him with one hand versus the other, or you can shake his hand like this. Or here's another example where, again, we start with the same image of this dog, but the video will be generated differently depending on how you move. This tool would be so useful for video games and virtual reality. And oh, did I mention interactive corn? I mean, forget just watching the video, you can be part of the action. Now, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they have released a GitHub repo, but it's pretty empty, so they haven't released any inference code or models yet. Hopefully this will come out soon. But anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. In robotics news, for the first time ever, an autonomous drone that was piloted by AI beat the world's top human pilots in an international drone racing competition. So the event occurred at the A2RL Drone Championship in Abu Dhabi, and the race is basically flying a drone through all these windows on this racetrack. Now, a team from the Delft University of Technology programmed an AI that can autonomously pilot the drone, and it was incredibly quick at flying through this course. By the way, what a fun activity. I would really like to try this out myself when I get a chance. Anyways, the highlight of this event is that this autonomous AI drone beat the former human champions, reaching speeds of up to 95.8 kilometers per hour. Note that this drone operated with quite large constraints. It had only a single forward-facing camera and a single motion sensor, which is really similar to what the human pilots had as well. And this is so that it's a fair competition. The AI's neural network basically sent control commands directly to the motors, which enabled almost instant high-performance maneuvers across this racetrack. Now, in the past few years, AI has beaten the best humans in the world across many different categories, including chess and Go and Dota and StarCraft, but these were mostly digital scenarios. This is one of the first instances that an AI has beat the best humans in the world in a physical competition. So really impressive. In other news, OpenAI kind of quietly released their best model yet, o3-pro. Now, interestingly, for previous big releases, they usually do a live stream. And for the really big releases, usually Sam Altman is there. But for this one, there was no live stream. There wasn't even like a official blog release page on this. This is just from the help section of OpenAI. So you could probably sense that it's not that big of a deal. Anyways, this model is designed for even deeper reasoning. And this is expected to do really well in STEM subjects like math, science, and coding, just like the previous O models. And like O3, o3-pro also has access to tools like searching the web or using Python to run some code, or analyzing images, or even using their 4o image generator to make images. Now, because it does think deeper, it takes much longer to generate a response. So only use this if time is not your priority and you want to go for quality answers that require much deeper thinking and reasoning. So let's go over some of their reported benchmarks first. Here, this is the o3-pro win rate versus O3. So you can see that the answers of o3-pro do beat O3 roughly 60% of the time. Again, this is not a huge improvement, this is just like marginally better. And then here are some benchmark scores in terms of competitive math. o3-pro is over here, and note that they're only comparing this to O3 medium, not O3 high, which kind of makes you wonder why did they omit that. Anyways, here is the performance on graduate level science questions, and then here's the performance in competitive coding. Again, it's interesting why they did not include O3 high in these charts. But anyways, as you can see from these three charts, it's just like marginally better. Now let's look at its performance on some independent evaluators. So here is a leaderboard by Artificial Analysis, and as you can see here, o3-pro is indeed ranked number 1. Just 1 point higher than Gemini 2.5 Pro and the previous O3 and O4 Mini High. So again, just a bit better, not like a huge difference. But notice that this is extremely expensive at $35 per 1 million tokens, whereas Gemini 2.5 Pro and O3 are like 10 times cheaper. Plus, Gemini 2.5 Pro has a 1 million token context window. This is like how much information you can fit into your prompt at once. And 1 million tokens is roughly equivalent to 700,000 words or a small and medium-sized codebase. But notice that o3-pro still only has a context window of 200,000 tokens. So this is like 5 times smaller than Gemini 2.5 Pro. If you look at another independent leaderboard called LiveBench by Abacus AI, again, o3-pro is indeed the best model out there right now, with a global average of 74-72, but it's just a bit better than O3 high. If you look at LM Arena, which is where users can blind test different AI models, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like they've added o3-pro into their leaderboard yet. So as you can see, overall, o3-pro is good. It is like the best AI model out there, but it's just marginally better than the previous O3 model and Gemini 2.5 Pro. It's not like a huge difference in intelligence, and that's why I didn't really do a full review video on it. And note that O3, O4 are actually extremely powerful models. I already did a full video on these two models to show you all the awesome things you can do with it. For example, you can get it to analyze an image, and it would actually zoom in and scan around the image to find clues to answer your question. Or you can also get it to create a multi-page storybook or a multi-layered image with transparent layers, just to name a few examples. If you want to learn more, check out this video. Anyways, back to o3-pro, you can think of it as just a slightly better version of O3. And note that for now, o3-pro is only available for Pro and Team users. Notice that this is the $200 per month plan. Anyways, if you're interested in reading their pretty low-key release page, I'll link to this in the description below. Also this week, Google DeepMind released Weather Lab. This is an interactive tool that uses AI to predict the path of tropical cyclones. Specifically, the AI model can predict cyclone formation, track intensity, size, and shape up to 15 days in advance. And it does this by generating 50 possible scenarios using something called stochastic neural networks. So here's an example where the black lines are the actual observed cyclone paths, and the blue lines are what this AI model predicted. As you can see, it's pretty close to the ground truth. And the fact that it can predict this 15 days in advance makes it super useful. Here's another example of Weather Lab predicting the path of a cyclone off the coast of Australia. And as you can see here, it's generating 50 possible scenarios on where and how that cyclone would proceed. And as you can see, it's extremely close to what actually happened. Here's the impressive thing about this AI model. It matches or outperforms other leading prediction systems out there, like ENS, which is the leading global physics-based ensemble model. This new AI's 5-day prediction is on average 140 kilometers closer to the ground truth than what ENS predicted. Plus, ENS could only get this accuracy 3.5 days in advance, whereas this one could do it 5 days in advance. So not only is this more accurate at predicting the path of the cyclone, but it's also able to predict things earlier. Now, how they trained this model was also pretty intuitive. If you've been following my channel, you should know that AI models are basically really good at pattern recognition. If you feed it a ton of data, it will start to learn and recognize inherent patterns and relationships in the data. So basically, they fed this AI decades of weather reanalysis data over the entire Earth from millions of observations. This is a huge dataset that includes nearly 5,000 observed cyclones from the past 45 years. And from this, the AI was able to learn the inherent patterns of cyclone formation and movements. And so when you put it to use, it's able to predict cyclones really accurately. Now, there's no indication whether they will release the code or open source this, but right now they have released a free interactive platform for anyone to check out. So I'll link to this in the description below, and here is where you can see all the predicted cyclones in the world that might happen. So you can see like there's some activity over here and especially over here in the east coast of Asia. And there's a ton of settings you can turn on and off. You can play around with the lead time. So feel free to play around with this. This is a completely free platform, so check it out if you're interested. Next up, this AI is also pretty interesting. It's called PartCrafter, and what this does is it generates 3D objects from images. Now, we've seen a ton of image to 3D model generators before, like Hunyuan 3D and Trellis, but this one can create 3D models with separate parts, even if that part is not visible in the original image. So here are a few examples. Let's say you input this image. Well, it can generate a 3D model from that and actually divide this into separate parts, as you can see here. And the segmentation is actually pretty accurate. If you separate the parts, this is what you get. Or here's another example. If this is the input image, here's the 3D model, which is automatically segmented into different parts. And if you break those apart, it would look like this. Here are some more examples. Even with this really complex dinosaur, it's able to segment this into different parts like this. And then here is some furniture. The nice part about breaking this up into separate parts is you can then edit each part individually. And then here are some more examples. Now, in addition to just taking an image of a character and generating a 3D model from that, you can also just input an entire scene like this, and it would generate this in 3D with all the objects segmented. The crazy thing is it can even generate parts of the scene that are hidden from the initial views. So notice that this is a super tricky scene. This wardrobe is completely blocking the bed, but it's able to kind of guesstimate and figure out what the bed should look like behind this wardrobe and generate this really realistic 3D scene. Or here's another crazy example where we have this huge closet or wardrobe that's blocking the bed. You can't really see anything over here, but after plugging it through this AI, it was able to generate the bed and everything hidden behind this closet. Here's another example with a table and multiple bookshelves, plus this chair, and as you can see, it's able to generate everything pretty realistically. Now, because each object is separate, you can then move these around further in post-processing, and this could be a super useful tool for interior design. Here's another example. Again, a pretty complex scene, but this AI is able to create a pretty accurate 3D model from this. Now, there are a ton of examples on this page, so in the interest of time, I'm not going to go over everything. But if you scroll up to the top of the page, they have released a GitHub repo, and it says here that they are going to release the inference scripts and the pre-trained models before July 15th, which is great. It looks like they are going to open source this, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. And that sums up all the highlights in AI this week. Let me know in the comments what you think of all of this. Which piece of news was your favorite, and which tool are you most looking forward to trying out? As always, I will be on the lookout for the top AI news and tools to share with you. So if you enjoyed this video, remember to like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. Also, there's just so much happening in the world of AI every week. I can't possibly cover everything on my YouTube channel. So to really stay up to date with all that's going on in AI, be sure to subscribe to my free weekly newsletter. The link to that will be in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.